Now, adults had some different reactions. Sometimes they kind of looked at me weirdly, which is fine. I get that a lot. I've got colorful hair. Sometimes they'd look at confusion, like, what in the heck were you thinking? Many of them would say a little bit of admiration or jealousy, like, wow, I kind of want that too. Hi, what's motivating me this week? Hmm. I've been thinking lately, when we're young, you think you'll find freedom when you get old, when you're a grown up. As a grown up, you think you want to have the freedom that you had when you were a child. It's kind of a win win or no win situation. But really, I think the question we're always trying to figure out is how do you find the balance? Where do you find the grown up and the child so that they work together? So, I'm Michael Sherlock, CEO of Shock Your Potential. And here's what's motivating me this week, you might wonder. So, today, now I know it's not exactly the day you're viewing this, so I'm taping this on Sunday. My husband and I were invited to a block party. So, it was a block party at a social club that some of our friends belong to. And, we didn't really know what to expect, but we knew there was going to be food and drinks and lots of games for kids and families. So it was really interesting to come upon it and see what there was. And I'm telling you, in Philadelphia, this was the perfect fall day. Like yesterday, it was 80 degrees. Today, the high was like 62. But it was beautiful and the sun was shining. And where we had this party, the blocks had a little bit of, the shadows going on. It was not too hot, not too cold, not too windy. There was no rain. It was just perfect. It was the day to gather and the day to gather together. Now, it was fun. Now, this is a place called the Fittler Club in Philadelphia. And there were lots and lots of happy people working there, greeting us. You walked in, there were families, there were just couples, there were groups of friends gathering together. There were a ton of balloons and more free food and beverage options than we could actually count. And as I sat back from time to time and I kind of watched everybody, how they were enjoying the day, it was interesting. So I was incredibly impressed by a couple things. First of all, like lots of amazing food, great things for adults, games that you could play, a giant, like, Connect Four. You could play bags. But for kids, there was just a plethora of opportunity. I mean, let's see. As adults, you give us an I don't know, an open bar, endless buffet, we're pretty happy, right? We just want to talk and eat and drink and be merry. But for kids, you got to keep them a little bit more entertained because if not, it's not going to work out that well. So here's the thing, they have short attention spans, but in this case, they had so much to choose from. They had so many things that they could do that, frankly, I was absolutely impressed. There were no meltdowns. We had no tears. The kids were having a ball, and so were their parents. So let's talk about what they could choose from. I don't know if you ever had done this as a child, but one of the things they had was like this painting station. So, put your little piece of paper on this thing, it spins around, you add paint to it, and it spins and gets all kinds of colors. So that was great. You could create your own tie-dye masterpiece as a t-shirt to take home. It was amazing. I wanted to do that. I'm not going to lie. It was a giant blow up slide. The kids were running up both the kind of blow up stairs as well as running up the slide and down. Carnival games like, throwing the ball at the bottles, see what you can knock over with baseballs. A balloon artist who was amazing. He was making all kinds of balloon art and hats and animals. He made a unicorn that was phenomenal, and things like rainbow hats and one thing that was like it looked like a giant ship. It was fantastic. Every place you look for it, you could do racing, you could do running, you could do bubble bottles at every table. There was a hair braiding station. I didn't think they were going to be able to do much with mine, so we passed that on. And of course, face painting. Yes, you've probably been wondering why I look the way I look, but obviously there's a rhyme to the reason. So while we were there, I kept watching these kids with the most amazing and beautiful face painting done to them. There was this gorgeous little girl. She had like a unicorn thing, she had like little unicorn ears on her forehead and a unicorn horn. Obviously, I love unicorns. I saw a guy who looked like a tiger, a little kid who had, superheroes, everything that you could think of, you could see on somebody's face. Sometimes they had sparkles, sometimes not. Nothing that looked scary, which, I mean, we're not quite to Halloween, but we're getting close. But it was just happy. Like everything was happy. And every time a kid would get their face painted, as they'd walk off that chair and they'd look in the mirror, because you don't know exactly what you're going to look at until you see it in the mirror. It was almost like they stood 6 inch taller. All of a sudden they're like, wow, they were empowered by the colors and the designs. And even, the fact that just that they had that and maybe somebody didn't or didn't have the same, not that they had to be unique in it, but they were unique in what they had. It seemed to give them more energy. I think that many of them kept like moving on, even though they probably normally would have passed out from exhaustion from the day. Funny, when I was a child, we had carnivals at my school, or there was the community ones. I never actually sat down at a face painting station, never once. I don't know why. I mean, I never shied away from anything else. Why would I not do that? But there was something in there with me that never wanted me to go there. And frankly, as I watched this today, I was like, hmm, is there something that I'm running from, or what is this? There was an inner child in me saying, hello, it's been time. You were, I'm not going to tell you how exactly many years old I am, but you've had this child inside of you wanting to get out and have her face painted. For crying out loud, let's get it done. So I joked to my husband, I'm like, hey, you know what? I wonder if she'll take adults, because obviously all she'd done is children all day long. And of course, my husband, always my cheerleader, always the one to say, go for it. He's like, yeah, go ask. So minutes later, here I am. I'm sitting in the chair. And I said to this woman, and by the way, just so you know, I waited till there were no more kids in the line. I didn't want to take somebody else's space. It was near the end of the party. But I said, she goes, well, what do you want? And I said, I don't care. Just whatever moves you, just be inspired. I didn't care. I just wanted the experience, I guess. I wanted to see what she came up with for me. And I said, I've never done this. I'm just excited to see what you do. And I'd already seen her art. It's truly an art form, what she was doing. So as I sat there over the next almost 10 minutes, I emerged. I knew she was putting this on me because I saw her pull that off. I knew that I was having sparkles because when she put her, glitter of some sort, because I could feel her putting them on me and having them drip down on my face. But when I finally held that mirror and I looked in it and I saw myself, I was like, well, this is perfect. I mean, I don't know what I would have picked for myself, but I think I would have picked this. It feels just like what I want. And just like the children that I'd watched all afternoon, I then also had a superpower. And it was fun because for the rest of the afternoon, kids came up to me and they would just look and they'd stare and point and smile at my colorful markings. And then I'd say, I love yours. You look so beautiful, or you look so handsome. You look so powerful. And we had a common language that we could talk about how we took this step to transform ourselves from where we were to where we were now. Now, adults had some different reactions. Sometimes they kind of looked at me weirdly, which is fine. I get that a lot. I've got colorful hair. Sometimes they'd look at confusion, like, what in the heck were you thinking? Many of them would say a little bit of admiration or jealousy, like, wow, I kind of want that too. And from that point on, what was really fun is that more adults started sitting in the chair. Now, again, remember, they were not taking the spots of little kids. By this time, it was near the end, and almost all the kids had been face painted if they wanted it. But it was fun to see more adults sit in the chair and have kind of some finding of this freedom of their spirits or their inner nature that came through the incredible colors of the paints and the magical glitters and the gemstones. Okay, they're not gemstones, but you know what I mean. And as I went through the rest of the day, and even when I was walking home tonight, I was wondering about how we present ourselves every day to the world. Early on in my career, I felt the need to wear black suits and black heels all the time. So it might be a black suit with skirt and or pants. It pretty much was. I've had some black heels. Maybe then I went crazy. I got some red heels. But for me, there was something about that suit that I put on that I thought made me professional. That suit, that black suit, then crazy. I went to navy blue. Eventually, I went to evergreen. All these different things that I thought made me professional. I think I did that because I felt that's what I had to do to fit in, that I had to act in certain ways or dress in certain ways. And frankly, I did fit in then. And many people still do fit in that way. And I'm not saying those things are wrong, but it really made me pause. It's been about 6 years since I started dyeing my hair funny colors. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to do this to fit in or to be professional. I'm just saying that there was something that happened in that turn of my life where I said, you know what? Maybe professionalism is how I defined it. Maybe it's about how I present myself, no matter what color my hair is or what kind of stuff I have on my face. I know there are times when we need to dress certain ways and we need to speak certain ways to act in the ways that are acceptable to fit in. And those times I did it to fit in and still at times will. Now, last week, I was fortunate enough, thankfully, to start speaking again live and in person at a conference. And it was a small business expo in Brooklyn, New York. I'm actually going to speak in one in New York City here this coming week. And it was interesting because the dress code was business casual. And before I went, if you would have asked me this, like if I'm going to speak at this conference prior to the pandemic, I would have been there in one of my dresses and my fancy shoes, all the things that I thought still conveyed professionalism, despite the fact that my hair might be purple, whatever. But what I really wanted to wear and what I did wear were some really comfortable jeans, some really great cowboy boots that I have, and a beautiful purple sweater. And I remember saying to my husband before, look, I think maybe this might be a little, like I might be cutting it a little funny here because maybe I'm going a little too casual. And he asked me, are you comfortable in that? Do you feel like you're professional? And I said, yes, I absolutely do. See, despite the fact that in my head I was still saying, is this going to be all right? Will I look professional? Will I stand out? Will this be okay? In the back of my head, I was like, you know what? You've got this. You know who you are. You know what you're conveying. You know the image you have. You know the experience that you bring to the table. Now, let's just be real. We have a lot of rules in society, no matter where we are. Some are important. Many others are, ascribed to us for 1,000 different reasons other than because they are just right. So in other words, sometimes we create other reasons that we think things are important. Here's what I know. I'm a professional because of who I am, what I know, what I do, not because of my hair color or if I have sparkles on my face. I'm a professional because I am authentic. Every day we have the opportunity to prove who we are to the world. But before the rest of the world, we must prove it to ourselves. Now, what's motivating me this week is not to push your boundaries by having funny colored hair or having sparkles on your face. What's motivating me this week is the decision and the discussion to be authentic and to live who we are for the reasons that we are. Those things will make us successful, regardless of anything else. In fact, sometimes in spite of everything else. That's what's motivating me this week. I hope it motivates you as well. And as always, if you like what we're doing here, please subscribe to our channel, hit that like button, and comment. We respond to every single one. Thank you so much. Unicorn, going out.